Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So last week, just like most previous weeks, here lately we've been working on Steve. And last week we left off with getting the new floor kind of set in place. We ended up pushing it forward by 1.5 inches, maybe too far forward. Driver's side, I was able to kind of knock it back, and it's working just fine. It's moving. Passenger side, I'm hanging up here in this corner. You can see where I'm using that seam splitter to kind of pry and pull it down a little bit. And I just hooked that ratchet strap up. I haven't put any tension on it yet, but my thought is I put some tension on that ratchet strap. I can pry down. Basically, I need 3 or 4 arms to do this. So the ratchet strap's pretty much just going to be one of my arms. So trying to get that done so I can get this guy lined up, because we really need to get this back edge kind of sorted out. I figured in order to get this guy pretty close to where he needs to live, we need to get the cab mount bolts in. That'll kind of center this guy pretty close to where he needs to be. There will be a little bit of play there, but not a ton. So I figured get at least the cab bolts in loosely, and we're not going to strap it down or anything. But at least get that part done. That'll kind of locate where my floor needs to be. Pretty close. Then we can start working on getting this back edge kind of laid out, get our cut made there, and then start working on cutting out down here, figuring out where I need to do here so I can get it cut off of the remainder of the floor pan I've got stuffed up underneath the truck. So so that's kind of where we're at right now. So I guess I'll go ahead and get this camera set up and see if we can't get this floor squared up ish. At least get it ballparked. You know, it's kind of not quite in the park right now, but see if we can get this guy in the ballpark and work from there. So got it straightened out somewhat. Went to go doing the body mounts. Basically, so I make sure that this guy's sitting pretty doggone close to where it needs, you know, fore and aft and side to side and all that fun stuff. So I already got the driver's side in. That side moves a little bit easier. It was a little off, but it was close enough to where I could get it. So over here on the passenger side, things don't want to move quite as easy. It's a little stubborn. So in case you're curious, because I didn't think to look at this beforehand, when it comes to your body mount, you've got this floor support and you've got this main cab mount, or the cab support. Where they intersect, basically dead center, is where your body mount goes. So as you can tell, here's where the bolt goes, and that lines up to about right here. So I'm definitely off by quite a ways. One, I've got to come forward, and then 2, I've got to come out to the passenger side. So it's possible that I kind of, you know, bowed the floor instead of sitting nice and flat. It kind of bowed a little bit. So it's possible I've got this guy bowed down a little bit. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get that flared out to match up with this. But getting it moved forward shouldn't be a problem. We've got plenty of points for that guy to hook up to. Yeah, don't be afraid to use a ratchet strap, folks. They are your friend. So, the driver's side did have to use the ratchet strap on. I hooked on to the shock mount and hooked on to, there's a drain hole here on this cab support. So I was able to sit there and, you know, basically winch it tight and get this guy to move where I needed it, and made some fine adjustments while I was under there. So like I said, driver's side went on super easy. It doesn't take a whole lot to move that side. This side, it's a little bound up. The bigger concern is I've got to come out with it. And I think I have a little Porterbuilt expander thing that I picked up at a sale somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I think I know where it's at, but I'm not 100% sure. I bought it probably 5 years ago and put it somewhere going, I'll never forget where that's at, and now I don't quite remember. But I have a good idea about where it's at. So anyways, so I guess first off, we're gonna try to get this guy lined up front to back. Like I said, it ain't gotta come forward a whole lot, maybe a ½ inch. That should get us pretty close. And then it's gotta come out like almost an inch in order to get that guy to where he needs to be. So yeah, I'm gonna work on this. I don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but we'll get it figured out. So all right, I'll be back. All right, so to get this guy to pull out, I've got it ratchet strapped over to the frame rail of the Blazer. This makes it a little bit more fun because it is on dollies, but it does weigh a lot and it's hard to get that thing started. So I'm hoping this guy starts pulling before that Blazer starts moving. So we'll find out. All right, got that body mount in. And notice I didn't snug it all the way up because this guy may need to flex around a little bit, may need to move a little bit, but that guy's in there now, so that helps quite a lot. And let's release this tension on this guy. It's a good thing. It's a good thing this guy started, he actually came into alignment because I heard the Blazer start moving. Woo! All right, that worked out pretty well. So I've got both my cab mount bolts in. So that guy is now located pretty much where he needs to live. We do have a fairly good gap right here. This is the floor, support. That I need to drill some holes in this and tack it up here to the inner kick panel area. But I've got to close that gap up. I'm not sure exactly how to do that. Probably going to be use of another ratchet strap. I'm guessing I probably have the same thing over there. If I remember right, when I looked over on the driver's side, it was doing something similar. So the body of the truck may have flared out a little bit. So hook a ratchet strap up somewhere and I can pull that back in. I mean, we're not talking much, maybe a ½ inch here, probably roughly the same on the other side. So so that's to be expected with how much I was flaring on stuff trying to get that floor in there. So I got to figure that part out, get some holes drilled, all that fun crap. But the good news is the floor is pretty well situated where it needs to live. And that's a big deal because now the floor is kind of situated where it needs to live. And well, let me get up off the floor and we'll just kind of walk through it real quick. All right, so back inside the cab. Here's why that was such a big deal, getting the cab mount bolts in so I could locate the floor. One, I don't really have a point of reference up front. There's nothing there. Over on this side, there's a little bit on that side, but there was nothing up front to give me a point of reference on how far up I needed to be. The floors here, I kind of knew where they needed to live, but I wasn't 100% sure. But you can see that fits in pretty well. Got a little bit of a gap right in here. That'll close up a little bit once I weld that bottom piece up. Same over there. That also gets my height right on this part of it. So now it may still be able to teeter a little bit back and forth, but that at least gets my height pretty close to where it needs to be. So now we're located to the front. We're located mostly side to side. There may be a little wiggle room here and there. Most of that's not going to be that big of a deal. And then we have our height. So that kind of gives us, like I said, really good points of reference, because like I said, I didn't have anything on the front with that firewall being, just gone. So with that done, that kind of lets us move forward with figuring out where my cut needs to be back here on this back edge. I'm gonna have to probably put a jack and a block up underneath here, because this guy's just, you know, he's just kind of floating. So and he may need to come down a little bit, but like I said, it should rock a little bit. It shouldn't rock a whole lot, but it should rock a little bit. But as long as we can make these two, you know, make them kith, then we should be fine for cutting and then getting the weld ready to go. All right, so got my cut made. Yeah, it got away from me a little bit, so it didn't quite straight, but it should match up pretty good. I'm gonna get the jack back up underneath here, jack it up. I think I'm gonna leave it kind of sitting down a little bit where I can fiddle with it and move this bottom piece, because this guy doesn't want to move a whole lot. I might could jack him up a little bit in order to get the little fuzzies off the backside. But I still got to clean all the edges up and get them prepped for welding. So yeah, there's still a little bit of prep work to go here. Whenever I came down here to the sides, you can see I just kind of pulled on out at an angle just to get away from that. I even got into the rocker a little bit, but came on out at an angle just to get away from this guy. That way, this piece is nice. I can stop basically welding right in this neighborhood somewhere, and then down here will be, you know, whenever I go to cutting that out and putting in that fresh metal down here for that last little piece of the floor. So now it's the fun time. Get the grinder out and basically prep all the edges and get them kind of ready to go. And then it'll be line them up and get them situated and ready for some spot welds to hold it all in place. And then, yeah, the long process of stitching this floor together, because that's a big seam to be stitching up. So it might take a minute, but all right, I guess I'm gonna get over here. Probably gonna use a combination of the angle grinder and my little I don't know, what is that thing, little 2-inch 1.5 inch sanding grinder thingy. So I'll probably do a combination of those to get this all prepped and ready. So I'm gonna get on that and we'll catch back up. All right, so we got this all prepped up and ready to go. Yeah, it got away from me in a few spots, so it's a little wider in a few areas than it should be. Not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, not that big a deal. So I already slid the jack under there with a board and jacked up the back side of the cab to meet the front side of the cab. Get this guy, he's pretty level, but it's still a little, you know, hills and valleys going on here. So I'm gonna get the spots that are lined up really good, get those tacked down, and then we'll start working on the other spots to get them tacked down and get everything lined up as best we can. And once all that's good and lined up, then we'll move forward with tacking the rest of it up and go ahead and start stitching this thing together. So it's a big deal right there. I'm pretty excited about this, to get this part done. As soon as that gets done, then we can move on to doing the floor supports that mount over here to the kick plate. We can do the inner rockers, get those welded in. You know, that's a temporary thing, but we can get those done. And then once we get the floor, this part of the floor done, then I can move over here and I can start working on this on both sides and getting that last little bit of rust cut out. And hopefully have this floor buttoned up. That'll be a lot. That'll be huge. So, all right, I guess I'm gonna stop talking and get to it. Alright, so we are tacked up for the most part. I had to go get a little water bottle. That's actually just got a little soap in it and everything. I guess there's still some flammable stuff up underneath here. Whatever. Most of the time I can blow on it and it goes right out. But just in case it doesn't, I got a little water bottle I can squirt it. And we'll probably be in good shape there. So this is going to be the name of the game for quite a few hours. Tack, move, tack, move. I did find out that I was actually a little too hot on the welder. So this is actually 18 gauge. I'm not sure where I got the 16 gauge from. I don't know. Maybe I was looking at something else, but it's 18 gauge. So I turned the welder down a little bit and I'm getting much better welds on this. I'm not blowing stuff out. It's probably what was killing me over there on the kick plate. But, you know, whatever. Live and learn. There's a couple big gaps in here. You know, like this guy, that's a big bridge to gap there. So I ran out a little bit of extra ran out a little bit of extra line, and I can take this and basically stack it in. If need be, I'll get a couple more pieces of this, twist it up into basically filler rod, and I can set that in there and make up my gap, rather than trying to find little shards of metal to set in there to fill the gap. So do that so I don't poke myself in the eye. But yeah, this is pretty much the name of the game for quite a few hours, is making sure everything feels good and level, knock it around if it isn't. I've been using the floor jack to raise it up. So you know, there's still some little peaks and valleys going on here. But yeah, it's my life for the next little while. Ugh. So I will probably go and change, because I've already caught a piece of slag in between my toes. That really hurt. So I don't really want to do that again. So I'll probably go put on some blue jeans and boots so I don't get my feet and legs all burned up again. But that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and rather than just sit here filming it and put it on time lapse, y'all have probably seen enough of that. I'm just gonna go and get it done, and then I'll come back and holler at y'all once we've got this guy welded up, or mostly welded up. So alrighty, I'll see y'all in a little while. All right, folks, here we go. We have got a welded in floor pan. You know, yeah, it looks a little rough right now. It's, you know, looks like a line of boogers. I'm not gonna lie. It's my magic nose goblin collection down here. Yeah, so it looks rough as hell right now, but we'll get the grinder in here and we'll clean all these up. I'm not gonna worry about that right now, because I've got plenty of other welding to do before I go grinding on this guy and trying to smooth all this up and clean this up and make it look real pretty. And again, it's going to be underneath the seat primarily, so it doesn't have to be super pretty, but you know, it needs to be prettier than this. But yeah, check this out. I can get in here. That floor is solid. So that's probably the most solid this thing's been in like 20 years. This is definitely the least amount of rust this truck's had in probably like 20 years. So so that's a big deal. So I'm pretty excited about it. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And you know, I don't want y'all guys to think that I'm slow walking this and just, you know, trying to drag this out as long as I can. I promise you, I want this done as quickly as I can get it done, but I want it done right. So the issue I have is, you know, I'm just one guy. I can only do what I can do when I can do it as I can do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't know. Anyways, so I wanted to have a lot more in this episode, but this past weekend I had some, how do you say this delicately? I had some digestive problems this weekend. So, you know, getting out here and bending and stooping and squatting, and that was just going to be a recipe for a really bad time. So I didn't come out at all on Saturday. I was able to come out here about a half day on Sunday, and then here we are. It's Monday night. Usually the video's already out, you know, by a few hours now. But here we are Monday night, and I'm just now starting to get this guy wrapped up. So yeah, so I'm going to close this video out here. But don't worry, I'm going to work through this week and try to get the video for next week done a little bit early. So that way we don't run into this. Hopefully I can get a video or two ahead. That's the dream. But it doesn't happen very often. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. I do appreciate y'all guys watching. I know I say that a lot of the times, but I really do. Y'all guys, that's the only reason why I keep on doing the YouTube thing. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that like button, especially if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, just hit it anyways. You don't gotta tell nobody. But also, if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, why not? Just hit the subscribe button. It don't cost nothing. All it does, the subscribe button, the comments, the like button, all that crap, that helps with the YouTube's algorithm thing, and it just helps the channel to grow, and that would be much appreciated on my part. But speaking of the comments and everything, if you got any comments, questions, concerns, whatever, throw them down below. I do read them all. If y'all guys want to follow me on social media, that information is listed down in the description. And yeah, I think that'll do it. Next week, we will get rocking on this fun little area. You can tell where there's nothing there right now because I've kind of already started on that. So hopefully we'll have that part done, and we can get the floor finished, getting it all welded in, done, ready to grind, and clean it up and get it, you know, get the floor done. Then we can move on to the firewall. Well, that'll do it, and we'll see y'all guys next week. And just remember, folks, it ain't got to be perfect. It's good enough, and hey, that is good enough. We'll see y'all later.